is Charm City Decoded. I am your host, Sophina Turner. I welcome you all back to episode number 28. Now, this episode comes after the midterm election, so that's what we're going to be having a discussion about. So, I have to applaud the Generation Z, the Gen Z group, because they came out in full force to support and let their voices be heard when it come down to the midterm election. So I'm so proud of the younger generation doing their thing, stepping up to the plate, and making sure you understand where they stand when it come down to these issues. So congratulations to Generation Z. I have to say, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the main points that stands out to me from this election thus far. And one of the points is now we have the first black governor of Maryland that was elected. This governor-elect, Mr. Westmore. I hope that he fulfills his position in a way that's going to be what he ran on, which is leave no one behind. No community, nobody. Every person that lives in the state of Maryland, that's a resident of the state of Maryland, will not be left behind. So I hope and pray that what he ran on actually come to pass. Okay? But I also got to speak on that he made history with that as far as being the first governor, the first black governor who ever been elected in the state of Maryland to that position. But I don't want to slight the two others that actually were there prior to him as far as in the totality of the U.S. history. We know that we have the first one that they sang that became the first black governor. He was the former governor of Virginia. And the former governor of Virginia, his name is L. Douglas Wilder. And he was in position from 1989 to 1994. So I think that's really, really great. He said one of his statements that I read about him, he mentioned that one of the things about being the first, hoping that you're not the last. That's the most important thing. And he definitely was not the last. But I have to mention that it was a person by the name of PBS Pinchback. Generations, Mr. Wilder, Governor Wilder, former Governor Wilder, he came after generations after PBS Pinchback, who had briefly served as an acting governor of Louisiana from December 1872 to January 1873. PBS Pinchback. Now, this was during the Reconstruction time frame. Now, I know everyone should know what that is. The Reconstruction time frame was after slavery ended. After 1865, once slavery ended, we went through a process of reconstructing laws, land, and the rights of black people, African Americans, so coloreds, Negroes, as some would call us back then. But so basically, I have to mention that even though this person was not elected, but he was, acting as governor of Louisiana back during that time, during the Reconstruction. So that's important. That's part of history as well. But I'll go to the second governor that was a black governor. I don't want to leave out black because that's the key to this old to this. That's the key part to this. Is the black governor. The second black governor that was elected was former governor Deval Patrick. Deval Patrick was the governor of Massachusetts from 2007 to 2015. Okay, so I'm going to be adding pictures of each individual in this part, in the beginning of this video, so you can, see who I'm talking about or referring to. Um, Now we have, of course, Mr. Westmore. Now tell me, when you talk about black culture, remember I had my episode, uh, I guess it was the episode before the last, I was speaking on black culture, or was it the last one? It could have been the last one. But I was speaking on black culture, um, episode 2 back. And one of the things that we have influenced in this country, in this nation, is black culture. We have, in a lot of sense, have activated others to, reform how they dress or how they speak or how they walk or just, when it comes down to so many different aspects, when it comes down to, we are in so many different categories of building and making this country better. So, excuse me for drinking this, but I'm recovering from a cold that I still have. Um, so, I have tea. So, mind you, so that's what I'm drinking. It's hot tea. So, I got to get that in me as well. But anyway, um, so we have we as a people, black people have changed a lot of culture in the world, in this dynamic of society, of how we living in this generation. Over generations, decades of generation of change came about when it comes down to us standing up and fighting for our rights. And, that cultivated a lot of change. And people started having more respect because of that for us. And, then they start to imitate how we walk, how we speak, how we carry ourselves. And I have to say, we have influenced a lot of generations of people. And so we have made our imprint in this society. So we earn the right to, become the governor of a state, the president of the United States, senators and representatives and judges and lawyers and doctors and teachers and, it just firemen and women. And we have earned the right to be anything we want in this world because we have given all of us to this world. So to me, that's really what culture changing is all about. You're giving back, showing that you matter. So I have to commend again Generation Z for still coming up out that door. I think I believe, per the Edison research, 1 in 8 voters in the 2022 midterm election this year were between the ages of 18 and 30. Now, I'm gonna go through what each generation category, age range from. Like Generation Z, since I'm talking about that range, if you was born between 1997 and 2012, then you are part of the Generation Z. And if you are a millennial, then you was born between 1981 and 1996. If you are Generation X, then you were born between 1965 in 1980. That's where I fall in. And if you are a baby boomer, then you was born 1946 through 1964. So those are the ages that, as far as generations that they have for us. Um, and far as percentage wise, the estimated percentage is 27% Gen Z came out to cast their vote, to let their voices be heard. So I congratulate us all for that victory and motivating these young people to come out and let their voices be heard. So I thank y'all for that. I thank everyone for that because I have to encourage everyone to come out and always cast your vote. If you really want to fight for change and you want a fair chance at things changing, even when it comes down to systemic racism, built into the walls and of every fabric of this country, then you got to vote. You have to cast your vote. My oldest son, who never votes, excuse me, he never votes. He said that he going to vote in the next presidential election. And I had to explain to him, don't just vote in the presidential election, baby. You got to vote in every election. Always let your voice be heard. I had to even explain to him that he didn't know, because he asked me, he said, Ma, is it just one thing that you're voting for? Just the governor, that's all you're voting for? I said, no, baby. It's multiple things that you're voting for. You're voting for the governorship, the governor. You're voting for the Senate when it comes down to senators or representatives in Congress. You're voting for sheriffs when it comes down to different counties. You're voting for so many. It's just a plethora of different things. You're voting for, monies being funded into the school systems. You're voting for so many things. And that's why it's important, because you need to put your stamp on stuff on where you stand. So you let your voice be heard. And believe me, the more people vote, better chance you may have at getting what it is that, the right people to represent you in these, positions. So some change can come about. So I had to explain that to him, and he understands more better now than he ever had, because he never really wanted to take the time to listen before. So this time he listened. So I'm grateful for that. So I'm grateful that my oldest son actually now is, thinking about voting, and I hope he continue to do so in another 2 years in 2024, and even more, and continue, thereafter. So I'm thankful for that. So that's another change that came about, and it's just a lot of things that I think we need to start standing up for more and more each day. If you really want some change, then you got to stand up and speak up. Let your voices be heard no matter what. So I just wanted to highlight, a couple points from the midterm election, and thank you all for going out and voting, for the ones who did, and I hope that the ones who didn't will change their minds also and go out there and vote when it comes down to the next election. Let your voices be heard. Let people know where you stand, and go out there and keep on fighting. And don't just stop at voting. Learn more about what these positions represent for you, and learn about what it is, what issues that you find important to yourself, and then you go out and find out who can best represent you when it comes down to these issues. Even if it means you go out and run yourself. Anyone can go out and run in these elections. So by all means do that. If you think you're the best candidate for the position, then put together the right team. Make sure you're educated in what it is that you have to do in order for you to run, and go out and run. Okay? So this is Charm City Decoded. I'm your host, Sophina Turner. I bid you all a good day.